Beginning of the End, chapter 62, David, anointed as king. This chapter is based on 1 Samuel chapter 16, verses 1 to 13. In the freshness of boyhood, David kept watch of his flocks as they grazed on the hills surrounding Bethlehem. The simple shepherd sang songs he composed himself, and the music of his harp made a sweet accompaniment to the rich melody of his young voice. The Lord was preparing David for the work he planned to commit to his trust in later years. Now the Lord said to Samuel, "How long will you mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and go. I am sending you to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided myself a king among his sons. You shall anoint for me the one I name to you." So Samuel did what the Lord said, and came to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming, and said, "Do you come peaceably?" And he said, "Peaceably." The elders accepted an invitation to the sacrifice, and Samuel called Jesse and his sons. All the household of Jesse were present except David, the youngest son, who had been left to guard the sheep. Before eating of the offering feast, Samuel began his prophetic inspection of the noble-appearing sons of Jesse. Eliab was the eldest, and more nearly resembled Saul in height and good looks than the others. As Samuel looked at his princely bearing, he thought, "This is indeed the man whom God has chosen as successor to Saul," and waited for the divine permission to anoint him. But Eliab did not fear the Lord. He would have been a proud, demanding ruler. The Lord's word to Samuel was, "Do not look at his appearance or at his physical stature, because I have refused him." For the Lord does not see as man sees, for man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. We may learn from the mistake of Samuel how useless it is to judge people by how beautiful or how handsome and tall they are. God's thoughts regarding his creatures are above our finite minds, but if they will submit their will to God, his children will be brought to fill the place for which they are qualified, and enabled to accomplish the work committed to their hands. The shepherd boy is called to the feast. Eliab passed from Samuel's inspection, and the 6 brothers who were at the service followed one after another for the prophet to observe them, but the Lord did not indicate that he had chosen any one of them. With painful suspense, Samuel had looked at the last of the young men. Puzzled and perplexed, he asked, "Are all the young men here?" The father answered, "There remains yet the youngest, and there he is, keeping the sheep." Samuel directed that he be called. "We will not sit down until he comes here." The lonely shepherd was startled by the unexpected call of the messenger who announced that the prophet had come to Bethlehem and had sent for him. Why should the prophet and judge of Israel want to see him? But he obeyed the call without delay. Now he was ruddy, with bright eyes and good-looking. As Samuel saw the handsome, manly, modest shepherd boy, the voice of the Lord spoke, "Arise, anoint him, for this is the one." David had proved himself brave and faithful in the humble office of a shepherd, and now God had chosen him to be captain of his people. Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the midst of, from among his brothers. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon David from that day forward. With a relieved heart the prophet returned to Ramah. The ceremony of anointing David had been performed in secret. It was an indication to him of the high destiny awaiting him, so that during all the dangers of his coming years, this knowledge might inspire him to be faithful to the plans that God wanted to accomplish through his life. The great honor conferred on David did not make him proud. As humble and modest as before his anointing, the shepherd boy returned to the hills and watched his flocks. But he composed his melodies and played his harp with new inspiration. Before him lay a landscape of rich and varied beauty. He saw the sun flooding the heavens with light, like a bridegroom coming out of his house, and rejoicing as a strong man to run its race. There were bold summits of the hills reaching toward the sky, and beyond this was God. The light of day, gilding forest and mountain, meadow and stream, carried the mind up to glimpse the author of every good and perfect gift. Daily revelations of his Creator's character filled the young poet's heart with adoration and rejoicing. The powers of David's mind and heart were developing and coming into a richer communion with God. His mind was constantly going deeper and deeper into new depths for fresh themes to inspire his songs and to bring the music of his harp to life. The rich melody of his voice poured out on the air as if responding to the angels' songs in heaven. Who can measure the results of those years of hard work and wandering among the lonely hills? The psalms of Israel's sweet singer would ever afterward kindle love and faith in the hearts of God's people, bringing them nearer to the loving heart of Him in whom all His creatures live. David was preparing to take a high position with the noblest people of the earth. Clearer understandings of God opened before his mind. Obscured themes were illuminated, difficulties made plain, perplexities harmonized. Each ray of new light inspired sweeter songs of devotion to the glory of God and the Redeemer. As he saw the love of God in the events of his life, his heart throbbed with more fervent adoration and gratitude. His voice rang out in richer melody. He swept his harp with more exultant joy, and the shepherd boy developed stronger and stronger, from knowledge to knowledge, for the Spirit of the Lord was on him.